Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. Today I'm going to show you how to easily plant potatoes in containers. This is a 4 or 5 gallon container. This is about a 10 gallon container, and we're going to do a 20 gallon container. These are fabric pots from Root Pouch. I sell these at my seed shop. This is a great way to grow potatoes. Couple basic things. Potatoes like more acidic soil, a pH between 5 and 6. So any potting mix that is peat based you can use in here. Fill it up about 3/4 of the way, doesn't matter what size your container is. And then you also want to add in some peat moss. That will help keep the acidity down, and any organic granular fertilizer is perfectly fine. If you can get one that's higher in potassium and phosphorus, that's better. So let's just start with the basics. One big handful thrown in there, maybe 1.5. In this one, about 1 handful. You get the idea. You don't have to over worry about it. And then several handfuls of peat moss are going to get thrown into here. This helps with drainage, helps hold moisture. You don't want your potatoes sitting in soggy soil. Fabric pots drain really well. That will help keep the pH lower. You know, it does not have to be perfect. This is the same setup we're going to do with the 20 gallon pot. So then you just want to mix this through. Potatoes can get a little bit confusing because they talk about early potatoes, first early, second early, mid-season, long season. That's really just how long it takes for the potatoes to mature. So I kind of grow potatoes that take about 70 days. It's really hard to find accurate information about them, but the purple, Peruvian, French fingerlings, German butterball, red Pontiac, they all seem to do pretty well in about 70 days or so. So the other thing you're going to read about are determinate potatoes, indeterminate potatoes. I find there's lots of lacking information on that. I can't find the right information. So if it was an indeterminate type potato, you might fill this halfway. When the potato grows up higher, you fill in some more soil. I found that just to be extra work. So this is how I do it. No matter what it may be, this is the simplest way. You want to make sure your potatoes have sprouted. This is called chitting. If they haven't sprouted like this, you want to keep these inside for a week or two somewhere warm until you see these sprouts. So to keep it simple, this is nice and loose. I'm going to do, in a 10 gallon pot, you can do 3 or 4. The more you pack in there, the smaller they're going to be. That's okay. I'm going to actually put in 4. I'd rather have my potatoes when they're smaller, and I'm actually going to do a pattern just like this. The potatoes will fill in the space. You're going to get a good harvest like this. Again, if you want them to be larger, you put in less potatoes. You want to be able to have the sprouts pointing up and go down about 4 inches, drop the potato in, cover it up, and that's all you really do. You're going to get potatoes this way, 4 to 6 inches. It doesn't have to be perfect. Potatoes like when the temperatures are getting to be 60, 70 degrees. They like warmth. The soil's loose, the fertilizer's in there. These plants will do really well, and you just sit back and let them go. I take a little bit more fertilizer, put it across the top. When you water, when it rains, that will start breaking down, washing in there. And when the potatoes sprout and get about this high, I will put mulch in, help keep moisture in there, and I'll just let them do their thing. You can look online if you want to try and really figure out determinate variety potatoes, indeterminate variety potatoes, which ones are mature in 70 days, 90 days, 120 days, but it's a little bit harder than you might think. So this is what I do, basic process for all of them. In here, you could just put in 1. I'm going to do 2, and I like mixing them up, so I'm going to put 1 of each in there. And when these are mature, and you know that they're mature, after the greenery grows up, starts fading and falling over, you can harvest. I like having the smaller potatoes. I mix them with green beans. That's the way that I want to do it. Again, a little bit of fertilizer on top. Probably it's best to scratch it in, let it stay moist, start to break down. So 1 or 2 in there, 3 or 4 in there. Let's go to the 20 gallon. And if you're just getting started, just do something like this. You can always tweak it later. You can become more specialized. You can try different things. You can do backfilling. But I find the most important thing to really do is to start planting potatoes. This way you learn, you have a good experience, and then you can change how you do things as you gain more experience. All right, let's go to that 20 gallon. This is a 20-gallon fabric pot from Root Pouch. Again, we saw these at our shop. Great way to grow potatoes and so many different kinds of vegetables. I'll be doing a whole series, if you want to subscribe, on growing in fabric pots. So this is 20 gallons, set up the same way. These are German butterball. They get a little bit bigger. And something like this, you could put in 4 or 5. And just wherever they're sprouting, try and point those upward. And again, you're going down 4 inches to 6 inches. Planting all these pots took really about 20 minutes. It doesn't take long. You will get plenty of potatoes and just get started. Over time, again, you can kind of tweak your method of how you grow them if you feel like you have determinate varieties or indeterminate varieties, and maybe you can increase your production. But this is the basic setup. A little bit of fertilizer on here, scratch it in, water them in, and they're really good to go. Now, the potatoes are protected from frost down in the soil. You can get these out early. They grow best in 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit when it starts to warm up. When the green growth comes up, it's not really frost tolerant, so don't do it too early, because if you get a lot of green growth and a frost comes, it's going to kill it back, but that's not the end of the world. But it's really this easy to start potatoes in fabric pots. I recommend you grow them. Peat moss is your friend in this case because it does lower acidity. Give it a try. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com. And potatoes are a lot easier to grow than you might think. And you can grow these now, April 1st, 70 days. You can put in another batch of 70 days, and you can even grow these in the fall. So you can keep the potatoes going pretty much all season, but maybe midsummer when it's really hot. Thanks for watching.